Hey everybody, I hope you all are having a great weekend, or I should say had a great weekend because it's almost over. Anyway, there was a recent thread over on the Acustica Audio Plugin Lovers Facebook group or whatever it's called, and the question was, now that this new plugin is out, what are your top 5 Desert Island Acustica Audio plugins? I'm going to make this one really quick. Talk about these briefly. Number one above all, Acustica Audio Sienna. This allows you to essentially simulate being in a high quality mixing room, control room, have different speakers in these rooms. There's also different speakers in general, like a tablet, and I believe this one's an iPhone or something an old radio box. I got volume A and B. I actually paid for these plugins. They weren't given to me for free. And I really recommend that you check out Sienna. I believe there's still a free version of this available. And what you do is once you set first of all, you're supposed to choose which headphone you have. Okay, from this huge list of different headphone types. So I have Sony MDR 506. And for some reason, my models were doubled. I may have to reinstall Sienna because each one of my models is doubled. But there's actually two different 7506. There's a smoother sounding one and then the regular one. And then once you choose that, that's when you choose your room and speaker type. But anyway, you can't mix if what you're hearing isn't accurate. And Sienna, specifically for me, my favorite is Spitfire Stereo 800 with the subwoofer. And the reference plugin, I mean, it exists, but all it does is essentially it makes the signal flat. It's similar to SonarWorks reference, but why would I want to just use this when I have this part of the plugin to go with? And by the way, normally this will go on your master bus, not on a track, but that's how I had them labeled. So anyway, the second, now this is the brand new plugin. Acustica released Salt. Salt is unofficially a combination of a vintage Neve equalizer and preamp, a vintage API equalizer. Now there's speculation about what these are. I honestly don't know what they are. I didn't ask Acustica. The speculation, I believe, for the Neve is that it is a combination of a 1073 and a 1081, or possibly just a 1073. Apparently the preamp is a 1073. That would make sense. It's one of the most well-known one. For Pink, it is possibly the 554 equalizer, which I believe that's the only API equalizer that has continuous frequency selection. And then for the Sand, I haven't been on Gearspace in a few days, but there's been no speculation on that. But the great thing about Salt and what makes this such a unique and useful plugin is that it not only emulates the hardware, it goes well beyond that, where you can actually choose the Q, aka the bandwidth. Now, the wider you want it, it's going to be on the far left at the 0 point, and the more narrow is at 100. Now, you're not going to be able to get some kind of notch EQ out of this. It's not that narrow, even on the Sand setting, but it's narrow enough. It's narrow enough where if you want to cut a certain range, you can do that. You also have your high shelf filters. You have your high pass filter, your low pass filter, and I mean, just overall, this plugin is an amazing workhorse of a plugin. You know, it combines my 3 favorite plugin types and a lot of other audio engineers' 3 favorite equalizer types, and then on top of that, you get the preamp. So you get saturation built into this too. You can also do mid-side, that's up here. So you can either have it all in the middle, all on the sides is mainly for mastering or for buses, or obviously left and right. You can also monitor just the mono, just the sides. The difference, the delta, is also another option for listening. And then down here is where the trim knob is. Now, I don't know why it's not up here. Design choice, whatever. Also has an output knob, which is nice. You can double click on these or just single click, and then you can start typing in what frequency you want. I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. There's the frequency knob right there. So we'll do, let's say 175. You know, it'll go right there. You can also hold, what is it? The Alt, hold on, the Shift key. Shift while you're using the mouse scroll wheel for very precise knob control. Overall, just an excellent plugin. If you want to resize it, you need to choose this option right here and then close the window, otherwise it won't work. Close it meaning delete it, and then bring it back up, and then it'll appear like this. This is the zero latency or lower latency version of it. Lower latency but higher CPU. Anyway, saw it, great equalizer plugin. And then moving on, compression. It's really simple. Acustica Audio put out Tiger. This thing can do it all. I mean, honestly, like, they really outdid themselves when they released this. It's an expensive plugin now. If you got it during the intro sale, you really saved the bundle. Now, more than likely, Black Friday is coming up. You're going to be able to get that at that point. But I can't guarantee Tiger will be on sale. But Tiger, just like Salt, it's a great workhorse compressor. It has a clean sound to it. It does have a preamp, but it's not like a specific preamp to the different models that you can choose from. So it doesn't really replace these other ones fully. But the nice thing is, and this is the one that I normally use because there's a lot less controls, and it gives you, the main controls you're going to use are on the Tiger Mix plugin. And then, you can choose again which mode you have. If you don't like the way that looks, you can choose the flat interface if you're more into that type of thing. And then this, I believe, is the mastering plugin, which allows for nonlinear properties mainly. It's more precision, from what I can remember. There was people requesting more precision, and they gave it to them. So that's pretty cool. I think Tiger also has another kind of flat setting. I thought they had a dark flat mode, but maybe I'm wrong. But then they also have the easier to use Fire the Tiger plugin. Just an overall great compressor, and you can do. You guys know that I like the distressor plugin, right? This is basically Acustica Audio's distressor plugin. And then next up, saturation. Now, you guys probably thought I was going to choose Jam, but honestly, if I just had one to choose from, it would be Diamond Dynamic Saturator. Technically a Studio DMI plugin, but Acustica Audio made it. And I believe this is a combination of the it's a black box HG2, and I think, I'm gonna double check on this because Studio DMI had a video out showing their different saturation plugin hardware, and I don't know if the Manly Verimoo was in there or not, but there's been different speculation on what it could be. But all I know is that it sounds great. One of the things you may want to do when you first open this plugin is disable these two red lights right here, because otherwise it'll have it enables the crossover frequencies, and especially on the lower one, it starts at 1K, and you may not want that. Now, the other nice thing is this plugin uses less CPU, the Dynamic Mix Saturator. It's specifically made for tracks, and it uses this one uses so much CPU and latency that you better use this one, otherwise you might run into glitching problems. But either one of these, just an excellent sounding saturation plugin, and between that and Jam, I would choose DDS. I love Jam, don't get me wrong, but I love DDS a lot more. Well, not a lot more, but I just love it more, and I think it's more versatile, and in general, it's just the sound that I'm going for, especially on the master bus. Finally, now technically I was only supposed to have a top 5, but I could not, well, if it was just 5, I would probably get rid of the de-esser. Maybe. It's tough because I need something that adds space to my tracks more than I need a de-esser. De-esser, I could probably get away with just cutting in that area, even though it's not going to be a dynamic thing. But I couldn't choose between these two. So Lemon is one I've been wanting to buy for a while, and I just never got around to doing it. Now Silver is the reverb plugin. I do have Silver plugins, but to me, between a reverb or a delay, I'm going to go with the delay, because the delay is just cleaner when you're mixing a bunch of tracks. You can't keep using a bunch of reverb plugins. It just doesn't work out well. Lemon is, I think, one of the most underrated Acustica audio plugins. It doesn't get talked about enough. I think it was on sale this past week. I'm not sure if it's still on sale, but just a great sounding plugin. Also, it does have built-in saturation. So technically you can disable the delay part of this plugin and just get saturation. It's been a while since I've used Lemon, but I should probably review this plugin, shouldn't I? Yeah, I think I'm gonna finally review it. So I'll review this maybe sometime this week, if not next week, so you guys can hear it for yourself. Should I just had a track? Maybe, well, I can't do it now. I'm not going to edit this video. Yeah, this is an unedited video. Anyway, fire the Dees. The Dees nuts. Ho, ho, ho. Back to my teenage years in the high school. Anyway, this is the de-esser plugin from Acustica Audio. If you have harsh frequencies, you can use this plugin. It'll cut them while maintaining the clarity of your track, so that when somebody does say a harsh sounding word or a harsh sounding, I don't know, acoustic guitar note is hit or whatever, the rest of the track, which should sound nice and present or bright or however you want to have it, this one cuts it only when the harshness starts. It's not really unique, but it does sound good, and it is Acustica Audio's only de-esser plugin, technically. They do have dynamic equalization plugins, but not specifically de-essing plugins. So this is one I haven't really shown off yet, but when I used it, I was like, wow, that does sound pretty good. I think it competes with Pro DS. It also competes with the new Prestige Rax Tamer plugin. So like I said, it was all about Acustica Audio plugins. So if I only had 5 or really 6 to choose from, it would be these ones. So thank you all for watching. Check out Salt. Check out DDS. Check out all the ones I showed on here if you haven't already. Do you need these plugins? I always say, no, you don't need these plugins. Does it make mixing a lot easier? Will it make your mixes pro quality if you know what you're doing? Yes, that's why I use these plugins. I want my stuff sounding the best it possibly can. Best is subjective, but I know what commercial grade music mixes sound like. Hollywood level mixes, I know what they sound like, and that's what I want my mixes to sound like, even though I'm working out of an attic, Studio Atom, Studio A, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter, man. The software is so damn good that You can do that in an attic. That's right. You can do it in a basement. You can do it in a bedroom closet. You can, as long as you have some of the plugins that I just showed off, and you record your tracks competently enough, because recording is definitely paramount when it comes to all this stuff. But if you've maximized your budget, then as far as your recording, and the one that I recommend, and I still recommend for a first microphone, is the SE Electronics. Darn it, I'm losing my train of thought here. The SE7, there we go. The SE7 condenser microphones. I think they're $120 per microphone now because of inflation. But at one point they were $200 for a match pair. And great microphones. I do personally use those on my own recordings. And then also Audient, their ID4, ID14 is what I'm using right now. Just overall great audio interfaces. I've been meaning to use other ones to try it out, but I never got in contact with manufacturers. I'd love to be able to buy these audio interfaces myself, but unfortunately, YouTube's not like it was. Anyway, I don't want to get into another rant there. Check out these plugins, guys. My